Welcome to the channel. This week on the Kiwi Barefoot Gardener, I finished tidying up the last of the raised beds with the fruit trees in them. We plant the garlic together and I introduce you to Teddy, the snail. The only sort of snail you really want in your garden. A seed snail. Come potter with me in the garden. My name is Dawn and I am the Kiwi Barefoot Gardener. Good afternoon. It's Tuesday and it is gorgeous out here. Hardly a breath of wind. It's just coming up to 2 o'clock. I'm a bit late getting out, but I've had quite a lot on this morning. So I've been doing some processing of some veggies and things like that I harvested, and I've been working on a special project which I'll sort of talk a bit about now. So this vlog will be vlog 50. And I'll be coming up to a year of doing the vlogs weekly, coming up near the end of May. So I have just been looking at what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, what have you, and what I can add to it. So I've got 2 or 3 projects that I'm going to start incorporating in. Some of them will be weekly, some of them will be episodic, depending on what's going on and what's available. I'll still be doing the same old weekly things, just with a few things added, and just following the garden through the season and just, how the garden leads me. And of course Lou and Bo will be supervising. I am sure they will be supervising. What you probably can't see is Lou's just out of shot in the arbour and he's just laying there just enjoying the warmth. It's out of this direct sun and he's just having a ball. So what am I going to get up to today? Well, we've done the big bed as far as we can go. The other day we took out the lemon balm and I finished that bed bar removing one of the cosmos which the bees were enjoying. I finished the last of the bed that had the catnip in it, and that's got the apricot tree in it, yesterday. I did the one with the plum that hasn't fruited yet. That's the middle between the 3 along the front closest to the big long bed. Got that sorted yesterday, and I got half of the peach one done, the golden peach. So that actually just leaves me this half and the one that's got the blackberry peach in it. So I'm pretty happy with that. I still have the beds that run up to the arbour and away from the arbour. Now I'm a bit late, but I need to lift the irises there because they have just loved it there and multiplied, and I just need to sort them out. And while it's really should have been done a month or so ago, I'm just going to do it. And the other one that I need to deal with, and I'm just looking to see if anyone wants it locally, is I've got a tractor seat plant, which is just loving where it is, but it's just dominating that border. So I'm going to take that out because it's just a bit too much there for the area and what have you, and I don't really have anywhere else for it. At one point some time ago I had thought about developing a shade garden down my side alley to the south, which is more access alley nowadays. So it's near where the composts takes you from the front garden to the back garden to where the composts are. But there were a couple of issues with that and it never really took off. It would have all had to have gone in pots. I couldn't keep up with the watering at the time, so a lot of the shade plants that I'd been given died. The tractor seat plant didn't. I'm just going to leave that there now because we've got some maintenance work that needs to be done on the house next summer. Just standard painting and things, but the house hasn't been painted since it was built, and that was almost 10 years ago. So it just needs a good paint, and that should last us for another 15 years after that. I'm just going to give the tractor seat plant to someone else who would probably enjoy it, that's all. Right, so I'm going to get on with things here, and then we'll move over to there, and we'll just do a bit of speedy till I've finished all the beds. Well, that took me way longer than I thought for a few reasons. Half my own fault because I decided I was going to rescue a whole lot of self-seeded stuff. I found a whole lot more catnip, which I found some yesterday, so potted all that up because the boys have completely trashed the one that I had. And I also found a whole lot of calendula seeds, so yeah. Plus I rescued some to plant back directly. I also planted some of the catnip directly there. So yeah, done a few bulbs, so I'm pretty pleased with that. Didn't get the other bed done, but that's okay. I might start on that in a few minutes, but I'll see. It's after 3:30 at the moment. It's starting to get a bit chilly out here. I'm just waiting for someone to come and collect something. So yeah, other than that, yeah, I think that's me for the day. Back at it tomorrow because I want to get a few things done. So I want to do a couple of things in the greenhouse, and then I'll probably do that bed first thing once I come out while the sun's still on it. So yeah, looking forward to another nice day tomorrow and getting out and doing a bit more gardening. I'll catch you then. Good afternoon. It is Wednesday. Had to think there for a minute. It's coming up about 1:30 and it has been a stunning day here today. I got out and finished the last of the raised beds, those 5 that have got the fruit trees in. Got that all finished and planted up this morning. Had to stop there because I've run out of composty dirt stuff. So the 2 other beds, the ones either side of the arbour, are going to have to wait till my next trip in town. But that's okay. I really want to get it out into the back garden today. Ugh, tongue's not working. Mainly because it hasn't really seen me much the last week or so. I've been concentrating on the front. I've nipped out and watered a few times because we haven't had a lot of rain. We are forecast rain tonight. There's meant to be a southerly change, but we'll see how much rain we get from there. I'm not holding my breath. So I wanted to get out here to do a couple of things. First, my garlic arrived yesterday. And I am so glad I waited and bought it online. It was a bit of a risk because the garlic that I saw in the shops was really not great quality for planting. It looked dry and shriveled, and there's no use planting stuff that's not a reasonable quality because you're not going to get anything decent back out of it. So I'm always a bit about garlic bulbs buying online because you don't know what you're going to get, but it was from a company that I've used before for other stuff and I've never had anything rotten or horrible from them. So yeah, I decided just to dive in. I usually go for a soft neck garlic because soft neck garlic lasts longer once you've dried it and stored it, and that's what I want. I want garlic that I can use for a whole year basically, and if I'm lucky enough and I get good bulbs from my harvest, then I can use it to plant on the following season. Now I have done that in the past, but the stuff I got back from when I harvested it in December, it was good enough, but there were no stunning bulbs in there that I could use for seed garlic really. You want good quality bulbs to be able to plant up so that then you've got the best opportunity to get the best out of it really. So I ordered 5 bulbs, which is probably a bit excessive, but what I don't plant in the garden here I'll stick in pots. And yeah, they're not huge bulbs, but they are nice bulbs. They're clean, they've got good fat clothes in them, which is what you want. So yeah, really pleased with that. Yeah, so I'm going to plant my garlic today. Now you may say, why are you planting your garlic at the end of April? Well, basically you can plant garlic from April through to July in theory. Most people plant it around mid-June, you know, sort of shortest day thing. But what I've been finding in the last few years is that by spring my garlic has got really, really bad rust. So last year and the year before, I planted it early, and yes, it still got rust in spring, but because it had more chance to develop and grow this side of winter, I got better crops. Now, yeah, last year's crop wasn't amazing, but the years before was. So now I've got fresh garlic to start off with as my seed garlic. I'm hoping that if I plant it now, it's going to get like 6-7 weeks before the longest day, shortest day, and then hopefully by the time spring comes and it inevitably gets rust, at least it'll have had a good chance to have grown by then. So that's my theory, and I have read a lot about it, and people have said, yep, this is the thing to do. So that is thing one to do this afternoon. Thing two is to do a bit of weeding. So all my brassicas are still under net. I had hoped to be able to lift the nets about now, but there has been several white butterflies flitting around. There were 2 having a ball here yesterday, and I've just seen one flitter through, and then there was one out the front this morning. So still probably need to leave the nets on, though my brassicas are a good size, so in theory if they did get caterpillars now, that they would survive it better than when they were seedlings. But yeah, no, there goes one now just heading my way. Go on, off you go, keep going. Blasted things. But I want to lift the nets, A, to weed, but also I need to check for the green-grey aphid, because under the nets, under the insect netting that I use, it is just superb for those things to start off. And they'll get in and start doing their thing. Doesn't matter what insect net you use. So, yeah. If they are in there, I'll actually lift the net, and that will hopefully let the colder air and the wind and the birdies get to it and try and remove some of them. If they are there, I'll leave it for a day or 2, and I will check again to see if there's been a reduction in them. If not, I'm going to have to get out with something and give them a wash off and get rid of them as much as I can, because I really don't want them to decimate my crop like they did last winter, spring. By spring, my cabbages and other brassicas were fairly munted with the aphid. As much as I tried to keep washing them off, yeah, they just beat me. Right, get into it. Just a couple of things with the garlic before I forget. When you get your garlic, don't, like I've got 5 bulbs there, don't rip it all apart at the same time and just leave it in your container. Because if you're not going to use all your cloves in your garden, like for me today, you want to leave your bulb intact, because once you've pulled it apart, the cloves will start to dry out because they're more exposed, and you want to try and keep them in the optimal state till you actually plant them. So I'll just do one bulb at a time. And if you've never planted garlic before, I mean, it's an easy crop to grow. You just got to, she says as she's trying to struggle with the thing, might do this off camera. Right, once you get the first one, it's easier. So when you're planting your garlic, you want to plant it with the skin on. Don't peel it, you do not need to peel it, and the skin helps protect it till it actually germinates. You want to plant it blunt end down, because that's where the roots were and will come from, and spiky end up. Okay, you want to plant your garlic 5 centimetres deep and 10 to 15 centimetres apart. I tend to cram mine in a bit, so they're usually 10, and I usually do my rows about 10 apart as well. So yeah, that's what you want to do with your garlic. So I'm just going to separate one bulb. There'll be a few leafy bits that's okay. That's the outer skin, not the skin around each clove. And I'm going to get on with planting my garlic. And yeah, hopefully I'll get a good crop this year. Fingers crossed. Right, that's all 5 bulbs planted. Pretty pleased with that. I got 7.5 rows with a little glitch just down this end, closer to where the nets are, only because there's still the root and a partial stem of one of the sunflowers that I just couldn't dig out, and I was going to let rot over winter. Now my next challenge is how to keep the boys off it. So in the past I've just used the little bamboo stakes and staked all along, but I'm a bit short of these and I don't really want to buy a lot more. They only last a year or two. I mean, the good thing about them is that they are biodegradable, they break down. But since I started using the net system, the hoop of plastic netting, I haven't needed these as much, and I haven't yet got around to buying myself some more pegs, because at the moment all my pegs are using on the white netting, just to make sure that that's down and things. So what I'm going to do, I think, is use what I've got of these, but I've got 3 of these left from the peas and beans and things and hoops, but rather than popping them up like this, because I've got 7 rows, what I think I'll do is I'm just going to lay them flat, use these just to sort of secure them down a bit, pop them on 45-degree angles, and hopefully that will deter the boys digging there. They've been digging up all the stuff out the front that I've put in the last couple of weeks, so all the new soil and what have you, which isn't a biggie because the bulbs are a fair way down, so they've not yet dug any of them out, and I I just didn't bother covering those beds up with netting or stuff to stop them, because I just didn't think they'd be able to get that down that far, and if they do move a bulb, well, I'll just replant it. So yeah, it's not the end of the world. Garlic, on the other hand, I don't really want them digging out. Right, that's fairly well secured down, so hopefully it will deter the boys from digging up the garlic. So time's ticking on. It's after 2:30 now because I've been mucking around, as I always do. I'm just going to leave the filming here for today, and then I'm going to catch up with you tomorrow. Going to do something in the greenhouse, a new project, so we'll get into that tomorrow. But in the meantime, I'm going to go and doing a bit of tidying. I think I'll leave the weeding to another day. I'm sure the weeds won't mind. So I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Good morning. It's Thursday, and we've had a southerly go through overnight, so the temperature's a bit cooler, so I'm in the greenhouse today. Now today I'm going to try something that I've been reading about and seeing on the internet, and I thought I'd have a go at it and see what it's like. Today's all about a snail, a seed snail, the snail type that you really want. And this snail is called Teddy. I like to name things. So this is Teddy the seed snail. So we're going to put one of these together today and see how things go. I'm always looking for better ways to do things, easier ways to do things, just the whole development of gardening. 50 years ago, there was no real thing about no dig gardens, and then about 40 years ago along comes Charles Dowding and he starts it off, and it slowly over the years picked up, and now it's a worldwide thing about doing no dig. Now what I'm going to do today about Teddy is something that you would think was around a long time, but apparently it really only took off or was invented in 2024. It started off in South Wales with a woman called Freda Sober. Sorry if I've pronounced that wrong. And she's just a home gardener, and she was looking for a better way to sort out her seeds, how to get them started using less potting mix, but also because she was pushed for space, so she wanted to be able to grow her seedlings in less space. And on top of that, she didn't want a lot of expensive equipment or equipment she had to go out and get. She wanted stuff that she could use that was around home and could be upcycled. So yeah, that's what she's done. She's come up with Teddy the seed snail. I'm calling it Teddy, but yeah. Now she shared this on TikTok, I think was the first platform that she did it, and then it's taken off across other platforms. It's been in big gardening things in the UK, it's on Instagram, it's on YouTube and things like that. Now while I'm going to do a version of it today, there is actually a really good 15-minute video from Grow Veg that I will link. And rather than reinventing the wheel, you can have a look on there. There are many different things that you can use to make your snail with. The one thing that is very clear on the Grow Veg one, what you can use. You just need to be sure that your roots of your plant aren't going to grow into it. I recently saw a picture of one using wool fleece, and I did wonder how successful that will be. I mean, yes, the plants will grow and germinate and things like that, but when it came to actually getting the seedlings out, how much that the roots may have tangled up with the wool fleece. Today I'm going to use just bubble wrap, but because it's plastic and I'm not that keen on having plastic, try and reduce the amount of plastic potentially that I can end up with microparticles in my food. I'm also going to use a suggestion that they have said, and that's using baking paper to be a barrier between the plastic and the actual seed, dirt, etc. Now, like many of you, I've ended up with bubble wrap galore from getting parcels delivered, though I do note now that a lot of places just use paper, which is great. But I do have a big box of bubble wrap, and I have kept it for things like insulating my plants here in the greenhouse, sort of like making mini covers over them in the winter to give them a sort of a protection from the frost and things. But it has been suggested that bubble wrap is quite good for this because of the little pockets of air that give your seedling roots a bit of insulation from temperature variations. The plastic, because it keeps things moist so you're not having to water all the time, which is a huge advantage over a seed tray. And it also actually gives a bit more stability to the whole structure of the seed snail. I've got two lots here. I think I'll probably just go with the green because it's nice and sorted and it's fairly straight. So today I'm planting broccoli seeds. So looking at the information, depending on what you're growing, is how big to make, or how tall to make your snail. Now for broccoli, I'm going to go for around about between 7 and 8 centimetres. But for some things that have got really, really long roots, so say if I was doing beans, then you'd probably want 15 centimetres because they've got really long roots. Now, if this works with the broccoli and other seedlings, I'm definitely going to be doing my beans and my peas and things like that in it, because one of the things I've sort of been thinking about was getting root trainers, which is sort of really long, deep pottles that open up so that you can lift the seedling and the roots out. Unlike the 6 cells and things like that where you dig in or push up and you get a lot of root disturbance. This will do very similar to what a root trainer will do, because once you've got the seedlings growing and you're ready to plant out, you're just going to unroll the snail and they'll all be sitting there like they would be in a root trainer. So I'm doing this now to see how it works and how good it is, so that come spring when I want to do my beans and things like that, I've got it down. Now, while this might be a bit fussier than grabbing a 6 cell and what have you, once you've actually set yourself up with all your wraps and what have you, you can reuse and reuse and reuse them. So there's a whole lot of steps you won't have to do again. If I had a chopping block or something like that, I could just measure out and cut, but I haven't, and this has got wee gaps in it, so it's not exactly perfect for doing this, but it's better than doing it other ways. So I'm just going to roughly measure out where I'm going to cut. So I'm going to do about 8 centimetres for my broccoli seeds. So I've just got my ruler and my trusty felt pen that I use. And I'm just roughly measuring it out. And you want the roll to be lengthwise around 50 centimetres. You don't want huge big ones. 50 centimetres is just a nice compatible size. Right, I've cut my bits out. So I've got my bit of plastic, my bubble wrap, and I've got my baking paper, excuse the rattle. And the idea is that you pop your bubble wrap in the centre there, so your paper is twice the width of your bubble wrap, same length, and then you just fold it in half, excuse the noise, there we go, near enough. Don't know that it's going to be perfect, but it will do. And then you slip your plastic in the middle. Yeah, I'm a bit short on length. My measurement's a bit rough. But anyway, you get the idea. Next part is your soil mix. Now for the soil mix, you just want a general purpose sort of potting mix stuff and what have you. I've just sieved some of my compost, which is what I use for all my seeds. Now, while this is damp, it's too dry for the snail. So what I need to do is prime it with some water. So you just pop some water in there. It's a bit sort of like adding your water to your liquid to your baking mix. You don't want to put too much in at once. Give it a good stir around till it comes together. And I don't think that's quite right yet, but let's have a look. So what they say, it's ready when you grab some of it and you squeeze it. Maybe, no, not quite. There's only 1 or 2 drops. So you want to be able to squeeze it so that it just puts out a few drops of water. The idea is that if you've got your soil primed and nice and moist between the plastic, you're not going to have to keep watering it like you do seed trays. So it's a bit mucky. It's a bit like playing with clay, but you know, let's have a look. But you don't want it over wet, hence why testing it. I think that's probably okay. It's not quite dripping out the end. You don't want it over wet because it's going to rot your seeds. That's what I'm thinking. Brain fog. Anyway, give me a sec to just clean my hands up and we'll go on from there. So now comes the bit about filling this up, okay? So you don't want to fill it right to the top of your roll because you're going to pop the seeds in and something on top of that, so you need a wee gap. And you don't want to fill it right to the end either because you need a little bit of flexible bits to attach everything to, and I'll show you in a minute. So just grab your stuff, and for average seeds you want about 1 centimetres width roughly, but if you're doing something bigger like a pumpkin seed or something really chunky, you want about 2 centimetres depth. So just go along. It's messy, but I mean it's like playing with mud and cake, you know, mud cakes when you're a kid, but it's fun. And I mean gardening's got to be fun. And look, if a bit spills out and what have you, don't fret. It's just, you know, it's just part of the process. Now, this is the tricky bit, I think. So, like any good nurse, I got my tape ready, like you do for your dressings. And with the bit left at the end, at the far point, you want to roll it up gently but firmly, if that makes sense. So it's a bit like, I hear like rolling sushi. So you just want to roll him up. And yeah, bits are going to fall out, but that's, you know, that's how it goes. Just roll it up. Till you get to the end. And this is where your flappy bits needed. Grab her up, and I'm using masking tape, but you can use other things like elastic bands and things. I just don't have any. I had some painter's tape, which isn't the best by the looks of it. We'll have to see. Might be a bit under sticky. Just hold the phone. I might have to come up with option B there. Right, my painter's tape / masking tape is a bit past its use by date and it just gave out. So I have used a bit of gardening twine because I don't have any rubber bands. So there's my seed snail. And what I'm going to do now is just pop them in here because it's easier to work. Okay. And what I'm going to do is pop my seeds in the top here. Now, my seed snail is not perfect by any push of the imagination, but what you're wanting it to look like is a bit like the Swiss roll cakes that you used to get in the supermarket. So there's my centre, and it rolls out like that to the end. So yeah, he's okay. What I'm going to do now is plant some seeds. Now I'm going to use winter broccoli seeds because that's what I need. I need some more broccoli. I only probably need like half dozen plants at the most. It's just for in here in the greenhouse. So starting from the centre, you want to go out and plant them out about 1 centimetre roughly apart so that you give it a bit of room. So get these guys in and see how I go. That's going to be more than enough for me for what I want. It's just for some succession sowing in here. So I've got a bit more broccoli. I've got all my broccoli from in the garden as well, but you know, broccoli is one of those things that you can freeze, and or like the other day, I made some broccoli and blue cheese soup, which was very yummy. Right, now I've got my seeds in, I just need to top up, and I'm just using my normal cutting mix that I use. It's just easier to sprinkle than the wet stuff. Though if you didn't have cutting mix, you could just use your unwet soil, potting mix. So I'm just going to sprinkle a layer of this stuff on top. to make sure all my seeds are covered. Hence why I've got it in the container, just because I'm a messy bugger. And it's just collecting all the stuff that I'm dropping, that's all. Sorry about the noise of the stuff. Right, I think that's about done. And then label it, because all brassica seeds look the same when they're tiny. Done. So there he is. You can leave them in the container because it, sort of contains them. You shouldn't need to water him per se, but if you do, you can just pop a wee bit of water in the bottom and let it come up through, or you could mist from the top if you've got, but just don't pour loads of water because all the soil's just going to go out. So over the next few weeks, we're going to have a look and see how Teddy, this is Teddy broccoli, is going to go. I'm also, after I've finished here, I'm going to make Teddy spring onion. So we'll see how he goes. My spring onion seeds that I planted into the pot directly have sort of sat there and said, yeah, nah. And I've had this problem with spring onion seeds before. Not sure why, but I'm going to try the snail method and see if that helps. So follow along with me over the next few weeks and see how the snail method of raising seeds into seedlings goes. Good afternoon. It's that time of week again where we do a coffee and a chat. So I've got tea again this week. It's actually quite nice out here. It's late Saturday afternoon and it's still a bit hazy, so it's a really nice time to be out here. So what did we get up to this week? Well, we started off with finishing off the 5 raised beds that have the fruit trees in. So they're all tidied up now with bulbs in and other plants that I've rescued. So that's all good. I couldn't finish up the 2 beds that lead to and fro from the arbour because I'd run out of dirt. So I've now collected some more, so I'll get onto those this coming week. Then we got the garlic in after it arrived via courier, which was good. As I said during the vlog, I opted to buy it online, even though I'm always a bit but the garlic I'd seen in the shops was less than optimal. So yeah, really pleased with the quality that I got, and that's all in, and so hopefully we'll get a good crop out of that. It'll get a chance to develop and what have you before the winter hits, and then when spring comes and it inevitably gets caught up with rust, well, at least it will be ahead of it. The last thing we did together was Teddy the seed snail. So as I said, I'd seen these online and what have you and thought, it'd be really good to try those out before summer hits. So I'm going to try them, as I said, with the broccoli. I've also done a second one with spring onions. While I think a lot of my other things like my silver beet and what have you will probably just go into the 6 cells and what have you, I was quite keen to look at them for things like beans and peas and things, ones that put out really long roots that a root trainer would be ideal for, but trying to get the really good plastic clacky ones from overseas, it's just too expensive, and the thinner very thin plastic ones that they get here, they just fall apart after a season. So yeah, if I can do the seed snails, that would be good. Now the second seed snail I did without the baking paper, and it actually rolled together much better. I do need to get something a bit more stronger than the tape that I was using. I've put twine around both of them, which works really well, and I could reuse it, but yeah, I don't have a lot of elastic bands, and yeah, I probably wouldn't have them around the house because Bo's got a happy knack of picking things like that up and walking away with them. So even if I put them away, the likelihood of one getting out, yeah, don't really want to do that to him. So over the next few weeks we'll follow Teddy the seed snail and see how they go. So there's Teddy broccoli and Teddy spring onion, and see how they go and see if they're going to be worth following up for spring when I do my beans. Just want to say thank you to everyone who's subscribed. It's always great seeing that number tick over. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please feel free to do so. It is free. So, if you click on that, and then you get notified when I pop another video out. The other thing that if you can just check to see if you've actually still subscribed, if you have already, I noted that YouTube this week has had another one of its clean outs and numbers were just randomly changing. And yeah, it was really weird, and I wasn't the only creator on YouTube that was noticing it. It was a YouTube thing again. Right, I'm going to leave it there for now and go on and finish editing up for the week and see what else needs to be done. But from me for now, until next week's vlog, it's bye.